Hey, what's going on out there, everybody? We are back for another review. This is a spoiler-filled review for Constellation, straight from Apple TV Plus. We've already done our overview, series review for the first 3 episodes in a non-spoiler capacity. But this time around, we're going to be dissecting the episode fully, and me and Vanessa are going to tackle it. What's going on, Vanessa?
Oh, trying to figure out what's going on, where my brain is. I don't know what's going on. This is the weirdest show I've ever watched, I think. So I'm excited to dive into this episode.
It is really freaking weird, and it's so much to unpack. So, you guys, please forgive us if we miss anything. We just finished watching it, so we're gonna unpack it as best we can. Because the episodes open in different times, in different moments, it's kind of hard to kind of dissect. But I'm gonna do my best to try to navigate us through this, and Vanessa's gonna keep me honest as best she can. But the episode does open up with Magnus and Alice. They're out. We thought initially the way that it opened up, maybe this took place in the past, maybe when she was in space, like maybe he went and took her out to a cabin. We find out very soon that as soon as they kind of get to the cabin location, that this is the other Alice. And it's crazy because when they're out there, he basically is like, your mom is dead, she's not coming back. And as we piece through the episode, we start to understand there's a different version of Joe that didn't make it back home that is actually dead. The problem is that the Alice that is there may not be that same Alice. And so we kind of open up and he's opening up the door, your mom's dead, to then we get to the intro credits. So just unpacking the fact that we can confirm in this episode that there are absolutely parallel versions and universes that are intersecting. The issue with that is that people are intersecting with these times. There are two different specific, and well, technically three. One is with Alice. Alice, at a certain point towards the latter part of the episode, she's, she wakes up, she's kind of terrified, and all of a sudden she kind of walks down to her mom and she sees basically a funeral going on for her mom that she sees right in front of her. But she doesn't see her mom, she only sees the funeral. And then Joe, when she's going and kind of ransacking to try to test out what's going on with these drugs that they're giving her, which we'll get to that. And she sees the custodians there, but they can't see her. So she's existing in another plane of existence while at the same time she sees them, which is insane. So just unpacking some of that. What is your take on kind of what's going on, and I mean the craziness of it? How are you unpacking that with your own mind? Because it's messing me up. They talked about the science of it. Henry talked about the science of it in different ways, which I love. Shout out to Jonathan Banks. But what is your take on some of it? How do you unpack it?
Yeah, it's cool. Once they basically confirm, like, okay, we're seeing two different people with the same face or same body or whatever, basically doppelganger, multiverse, whatever is, either it's timelines, multiverse actions, whatever is happening. It's cool, and the way they're doing it is so interesting. Like, especially those scene where, because we weren't really sure up until that moment with Joe in her office, and like those guys like barely. I was like, oh man, they're just like not even paying attention to her, and then like a ghost, this guy like she's like, hey, and it's just like you're immediately like, oh yeah, something's going on. This is somehow, and we Bud says it in later in the episode, he was talking about it with another scientist, a particle scientist, a pathway to, he's like, you didn't find a pathway to another universe, and then they said something about a particle existing in two places at the same time, which is wild. Like, and that's against theory. Like, matter is not the same. No particles of the same matter, whatever, can exist at the same time. Like, that's like science. If it does, it's like it would just implode, or like whatever, something crazy would happen. It would cause a paradox, whatever. So it's interesting that we're seeing in real time two people existing in the same body and like kind of like moving back and forth between two realities. And we see it really clearly with the Joe scene, and we see it really clearly with Alice. Because and then we get we got confirmation that Alice's mom in that universe never came back, where in this universe she did. So it's just blowing my mind the way they're building the story, because it's very clear that it's pretty obvious that this has happened before, because they're giving these people antipsychotics, and we find out that like she's not the only one that's dealing with it. She also finds out that Bud is on it too. It's so crazy. And we see that Bud's talking to himself. So it was another instance. It was just so insane. It was everything. I was just like, I'm like, it's all good. It's all so good. And now I'm just trying to figure out which of these Buds is a murderer.
Oh yeah. So I know we're jumping the gun, but I know you guys are kind of holding on tight with this. But I do think that the other Bud intersected in the moment, because when I think back to it at the time, like he was kind of dancing with the other astronaut, and then all of a sudden it went and transitioned. Like he was emotionally compromised, and then all of a sudden he was getting angry with the guy. And I think that he went and changed, and he pushed the guy, because when the FBI agent kind of go through the footage, she starts to see those two auras, and it's a distortion going on with the video. So she literally couldn't see it. And like the other part about it is like Henry, like when he kind of recalled, he was trying to figure out. That's why I was kind of like, why does he seem like he's acting so chill about it and innocent? He really probably was. He probably wasn't. He didn't know what went down. And I guess when we see him talking to himself, he's probably talking about what happened. Like what you do, bro?
Yeah.
Like, did you freaking kill this man? And like, are you gonna nail me again to the cross? Because I think that the reason why he was upset in the last episode is that I didn't get these calculations wrong. You did. And he's trying to explain to everybody, because he has this one moment with another scientist, like, look, I'm telling you, this is what I'm seeing. And the other scientist is like, look, if you don't have any evidence, it doesn't make any sense. But he's saying that what if the observer, the person that's considered the observer, is the one that is the only one that can actually see it, this displacement in time and reality. And it's kind of like he's Albert Einstein. Like he's talking about something that us baseline humans can't even rectify. Like you can't conceivably make sense of what's going on. And the other thing is, we talked about this, is that why was it that Alice is affected by this? If we're going on the basis that this is on a genetic level, on a DNA level, of course, like this is something that would be affecting the people that are connected most, from a genetic level. And so I think that's the reason why her connection to her daughter, that's the reason why it's happening. And like we can recall, because she asked her at the end of the day, like, why are you putting Alice in the cupboard? When did this start happening? And she basically, he didn't say, but the way that I can kind of connect it is that the moment that she was no longer found, that was when Alice was scared. And he takes it as, okay, like he was worried that you weren't going to come back. He hypothesized you weren't going to come back. And if we go back to the first episode, she even said, like, is she dead? Like, is she not? And it makes a lot more sense now that probably what she was seeing at times was her mom dead. Like her mom, like she saw a different reality, that it wasn't working out. They couldn't find her. She wasn't going to make it. And then when she came back, the little girl, she couldn't process it, because it's like, no, I'm seeing that she's not here. I'm seeing that everybody's saying she's not going to make it. And so it all goes back to the device. The device is working on a genetic level on Joe, on Alice, because of who they are. It's just crazy science that I don't think from a storytelling standpoint that I've seen anything come close to this. I don't know. What are your thoughts?
I was going to say, no, you made a good point. You said it's on a genetic level. It's biological. It's affecting him on a biological level. And it's only, why did it only affect Joe? Why did it not affect any of the other astronauts? Right? Like what is it about her genetically? What is it about Bud genetically? Like what is it specifically that is causing, because she wasn't even the one working with the cow. It was oh, the other dude, Lancaster, Paul Lancaster, who was alive in the other universe. And that's when
Right.
we got that clue in the last episode when Joe went to go put flowers on Paul's grave, and she saw him doing the same thing for her.
Yep.
So like, and in this episode, we get a glimpse of she keeps touching her left eye, right?
Mm-hmm.
And we get a glimpse of what looks like her with a patch, a white, like a bandage over her eye that's like with blood,
Yep.
meaning in that universe, it's possible that Joe in that universe lost an eye or is dead or is stuck up there. We don't know. Obviously, in that other reality, she's dead in that reality to them. So I think it's so interesting.
Yeah.
Now I'm like, did the other version of her help her get out of that,
Absolutely.
get out of the space
That's
station?
yeah.
So many questions. Like if you were watching this episode now, you obviously watch the first 3 episodes. So now you can start to go back. I would even encourage you to watch the first episode again, the second episode really, to see like what was going on because there's so much now. Even now, by the time we get to episode 8, we're gonna be like, oh my god, we gotta go back and watch this because there were
Yep.
so many clues that we're already seeing that we are like that they're starting to lay, but we still don't know what's going on because at the end of the day, we don't. Why is it affecting some of them on a biological level?
Mm-hmm.
And with the science about the observer effect, I looked it up and I was like, the observer effect is essentially you become a part of the whatever you're observing, you become a part, you affect it. So like the most practical example is if you need to check the tire pressure on your tire,
Mm-hmm.
well you check the tire pressure, you take the thing off, and you end up inadvertently are releasing pressure, which does change the tire pressure. So essentially, that is the observer effect. You're checking something to see if something's happening. You're part of the change that's making it happen. The part of the change that's making it happen. So it's interesting that they brought that up here, and they also referenced the Changeling, which is a book / movie where a baby gets snatched and replaced with another uglier baby, a creature baby, and it's a storyline that Charmed did one time. And I think that's interesting because we're playing with a lot of different ideas here of like stolen identities, because they reference that too with one of the other astronauts who came back from space and went cuckoo. There's always at least one from each Soyuz mission that goes cuckoo, right? So each mission, one person is going cuckoo. Why? And they're prescribed medicines, and then they go crazy. Someone kills someone, their family, their ex, someone else. Yeah, they're like assuming identities. Like it's like, what is going on, and why are they? Because they're experiencing different lives, and they don't know why. I think that's so interesting. But why these people? We might know, we know like a little bit of the pieces, but we don't know why. Why is this happening, and why has it been going on for so long? You know what I
Right.
mean? Like we have confirmed that that version of that other Russian lady that she saw her and she died. She
Yeah.
did.
Yeah. Yeah. It's
Oh, yeah.
interesting because the same astronaut, she's dying. But she absolutely hid the fact that she knows that another version of herself is dead. Now, the weird thing in this episode that happened, which I don't think they've ever done in any kind of multiverse or time travel kind of sense, is that in this episode, the piano. They use the piano so many different ways. We'll get to that in a second. The
Yeah.
last moment of this episode is terrible. I got so many grievances with the husband in this. I think that he's some trash too. But I'll get to that in a second.
Yeah.
In this episode, like she's kind of looking at the piano, and there's pictures of her with the daughter. She showed the daughter how to play the piano. Where in her reality, she showed the daughter language of speech. Like she showed her how to speak another language, and the daughter just didn't get it. And it's weird to me because the husband never brings it up. Like, why do you keep talking to her in this language? Like, why? He never brings it up. He never talks about it. Maybe I guess because he thinks that there's something going on psychologically with the wife, so it makes more sense. But in this, like, she starts to play the piano, and she talks to her psychiatrist about it. And then later on, she eventually starts to play it. And man, Naomi like kills that scene from an acting standpoint because you can tell she is freaked out. But the thing about it is so weird is that how can if she's in a different universe, it's not her. How can she be able to play it? Well, we find out with that same exact theory that if she's in two different places at the same time, her body is not her body, it's her mind. Her mind is displaced into this reality. The body that she's in actually has the same exact muscle memory. And so, from a genetic level, of course, she knows how to do it. Like, even though she's seeing it and her body is reacting to it, that's fascinating. It's crazy that that's actually happening. So, even though she is in a different place, she isn't. Like her body, everything about her essence is actually still there, but it's not. And the other thing about it is, I think that there's 3 different times this episode she keeps rubbing her eye, like she's in pain, because the other version of her is actually doesn't have an eye, or either her eye is damaged and she's feeling it. And it's so weird because they never, I don't know any other multiverse movie or show that's tackled this approach to this. And I wanted your take on it because this is insane. This is so weird.
Yes. I was gonna say I'm pretty sure that the other version of her, like where she's going mentally when she's rubbing her eyes, because she keeps seeing the space station like floating through. Like I'm pretty sure her other version of her is stuck up there.
Yep.
Like, and helped her get out. And like, but like how much oxygen does she have? How long does she go? You know what I mean? Like
How
it's
is she
crazy. Like
surviving still up there?
how is she surviving up there? Like the fact that she's still like that's crazy to me. And so yeah, I think and I also find it interesting that this means that whatever this connection is, it's it's um it doesn't end when they die. Because even though the other version of that Russian lady is dead, Bud saw of her in like the skeleton or whatever, and then
Right.
like her floating around, so like even after death, some echo of her is still existing. This is crazy. That's like a ghost, right? And they keep bringing up ghosts, so there's something. And then angels too were brought up. I saw angels in space.
Yeah.
So something's going on, something that's not just multiversal timeline changing, something that feels like, I don't know if we've hit aliens yet, but something feels more a little bit. It's like sci-fi, but a little bit mythological, a little bit fantasy, but something celestial. Because what is going on? Because what are they seeing, and why is it only affecting one person per mission? It seems like, So yeah, the
So
piano thing was crazy, but I'm not surprised because the muscle memory, like even when she was like in those scenes with Frederick, like she's probably like, oh, I don't, because she went from going nothing happened to I didn't remember, I don't remember, but her body remembers because your
right,
body remembers the attraction to that man, but
right.
she's like, what the? So like I know that's another thing. Like she I could tell she realized, and that's that interaction with him. She was like, oh, something did happen between us, but I don't remember. I don't know what is going on. And
Right.
that can probably feel so jarring, like
Right.
to have your body feeling something that your mind has no memory of. It's
Right.
crazy.
Yeah, because it's like, I mean, there are different cases of different people that have memory loss, like actual memory loss. And I think this is the hard thing about this show is that on the surface, it looks like, this astronaut went into space, she led a completely different life and she came back and she just has no memory of it, and like their family is dysfunctional because the dad is taking different approaches without reconciling it with the wife, and the daughter is benefiting from their dysfunction, their toxicity, right? But that's not what's going on. Like there's actual space-time issues that are affecting their family, and the only one that's not getting technically physically affected is the husband, but he's reacting
Right.
to all of it, right? And so it's like you said, when it comes to her dealing with and reconciling what's happening with her physically, what she's feeling, what she's seeing, like is playing a trick on her. And I don't know how you're supposed to deal with that, because it'd be one thing if she just didn't remember. I think that right now she doesn't know it's a time displacement issue completely. I think she's starting to understand it, but she doesn't.
Yeah.
From a surface level, she just knows that the government realizes that these things have happened.
Yeah,
Or
for
is it
sure.
that the person is mentally affected, or is there something elemental that's happening? She can't
Mhm.
reconcile that. All she knows is that I don't have these memories. I don't have this reality. This is not my family in so many different
Mhm.
ways. Especially by the end of the episode where she realizes like this man does not believe me, and this child
Mhm.
is absolutely going through something that he's not allowing the child to feel. And
Mhm.
in this episode, we get the understanding that Magnus, um, I don't know how to really explain it. Like he perceives that his wife is very different, but he's enjoying the bliss of the fact that she loves him and she
Mhm.
wants to be with him, and yet he's not being completely transparent with her because you come to find out that he struck up a conversation with somebody else and they
Mhm.
started to date or are still dating. We really don't really know. They kind of leave that really up in the air. But we find out, of course, that the teacher, the co-teacher that is for Alice. Now, the weird thing is, and I'm so pissed at him, is that he knows for a fact that his wife is dealing with some memory stuff. He knows that she's very fragile, and yet he puts her in these precarious situations. One, having a parent-teacher conference with the person that he's possibly infatuated with, and then again later on in the episode where he knows for a fact she's got to present to the class, and he's just sitting there. Right, it's just like there's
Yeah.
sloppy, and then there's inconsiderate. What he's
Mhm.
doing is not sloppy. This is just inconsiderate to the situation. And
Right.
regardless if she remembers or not, you ain't doing your situation any help at all. Like it's not good
Right.
for Alice, it's not good for Joe, and yet he's still kind of going down that route. And I'm just like, dog, you done. And then the last, the nail in the coffin, he's like, takes Frederick and brings him to the house.
Yeah.
Initially first because like he's trying to assess the situation because he wants to prove himself wrong or right
Mhm.
about their relationship. But if she didn't remember, she didn't remember. Who cares? Like you bringing this
Right.
man in here and then trusting him after the fact is dumb. And so I'm more pissed at him in this episode than anything. Um, I don't know. I don't know. His approach to it just pissed me off, honestly.
Yeah. No, I think at first I was like, I didn't really know what to make of him, but now I'm like, he kind of sucks. I can see why his Joe kind of drifted away from him because he doesn't really listen to her and doesn't respect her authority, and clearly doesn't like he he will do whatever he wants. Apparently, like from what I understood is that him and that lady only dated like it never went far, and he like it just dissipated, but that according to him. But I think he wanted Frederick to like. I think he confronted Frederick because I think he wanted to like feel less bad about the situation. He's like, "Well, if she didn't cheat, then I did something bad,"
Exactly
you
why he
know?
did that. Yep.
Yeah. So now he feels justified that he's like, "Well, she cheated," but like she didn't, and obviously no one knows what's going on. But I think Frederick's also creepy and gross. Like it's clearly it's obvious that he told him because he's like, "Well, this will push her back into my arms." Like it's so weird. Like he's like, "Me and you can go off together. Oh, she'll need to be committed, and maybe I'll go with her for a few days." Like who? Why are you? This
Right,
is this
right,
is now
right.
this is now getting creepy and like very like conservatorship type shit. Like, why are you the
Mhm.
person who claims to be sleeping with her now invested in getting her committed? Like, it's getting weird. So I'm Joe reacted the way I think any normal person would because she's like, okay, they're definitely circling the wagons and ganging up on me, and I'm not because once she's committed, she ain't getting. It's harder to get out. Which is I
Right.
now see where we're leading up to the where she ends up running with her daughter. 'Cause I'm pretty sure she fucking maybe ended up
Yeah,
killing
I
her.
mean, even if she didn't kill this man, like Frederick's gonna dissolve her career
Yeah.
because of his own agenda, because he wants her. He already basically said, like, screw this, like, everybody's on board. Like they just want us. Like get the hell out of here, bro. And then with Magnus, like he wanted to absolve himself and project his own needs and like he's like, yeah, like I did dirt, but I want to feel better about it because just because you don't remember didn't mean it didn't happen. Get the hell out of here, bro. Like
Right.
they are absolutely using her because even if she wasn't dealing with a scientific imbalance like on a genetic and supernatural level, if it was just her not having memory, they're still in the wrong because they're
Right.
using her to make themselves get what they want and what they need. And they're not considering Alice, they're not considering Joe. And the end of this episode, like he projected all this, like it's you, like she's upset because of you because you were gone. Like get the hell out of here, bro. Like if it's a situation that you wanted to jump ship, you should have jumped ship. And it sounds like you're using, I mean, you knew what you were getting yourself into with married an astronaut. And I know like certain people with certain careers, they have to travel, they're going to the military. It's gotta be hard. I'm not absolving the fact that it's gotta be hard. But in this specific situation that your wife has gone through a PTSD situation, she's lost her memory, and for a fact it's affecting your daughter, like you're just not being considered of the situation. Like you're just trying to wash your hands of it because it's hard. And it's just, I don't know. Like I'm so pissed at him. But yeah, Fred is some trash too. He's a sleazeball. Like he's a sleazeball for the fact that he cornered her. It's like, oh, I haven't seen you. And it's like,
yeah, I still want you. Gross.
Like, hold up, bro. Like
back off. She's dealing with a lot. Back off.
You can tell, like, I mean, the truth of the matter is everybody should be able to tell that this woman is not the same, regardless if you think she's lost it or if is completely off. Like she's noticing this difference with everybody else, but they got to know differences with her.
Right. It's just like writing it off like, oh, but like the thing is Alice knows.
She does.
Alice knows. Alice is like
how to deal with it mentally.
And now she has pretty much confirmation. So like next episode will be interesting because now they're gonna hopefully be able to the mom and daughter will be able to talk and be like, oh, okay, you're not my mom, you're not my daughter. I wonder if that'll be an interesting like what kind of conversation that will be because at this point the only person that has like, the only people that will know exactly what she's going through is Bud and Alice, or like even won't believe her because but even people won't believe Bud. People aren't believing Bud about his Cal experiment. They're like, it didn't happen. It's not possible.
Well, that's the thing. We got two different versions of Bud. One might be a psychopath because that ninja's sitting there looking all evil, talking to himself. Like I'm like, I think
that was so creepy.
Yeah, like he was like, what did he say?
Curiosity killed the cat or something like that.
Like, get the heck out of here! Like, because I was mad at her because I was like, Joe, like you're doing it. Like you confirmed the lithium, you confirmed what's going on. You can tell that there's a displacement in time. Just talk to Henry. And then when she was about to, she noticing this. I mean, I wish she had went in there and saw the other version there because they keep kind of pulling away. Because I wish she would have saw and told him what she saw. And I wish that she would have walked in and saw this because it's just like it's dragging out. And we already kind of know that from the first episode, which takes place towards the end of this season, that they aren't on the same page. That Alice and her are not on the same page. Like she barely kind of said like, you're not my mom. And it's kind of like there was a difference of opinion there. So they hadn't been really talking.
Right.
So the thing about Alice can confirm that that's not her mom. But Alice can't process the fact that she's going back and forth to different universes. So it's like she can't be but so much help. And then the other Alice is not. She has no idea what's going on because from her, her mom is dead, and she keeps going back and forth and seeing a different version of herself. They're saying that my mom's here. So
because it's I'm sorry.
We haven't really gotten her, because we haven't really seen what she's been having to go through.
Right, that's what I was saying. We haven't seen the other Alice's perspective. We only seen the other Alice's perspective a little bit.
Yeah, I want to
Mm-hmm.
see that. I want to see how the other astronauts are dealing with that, like the black astronaut that made it back. I want to see
Right.
like what they're dealing with, because I think that one of the other astronauts is dealing with this same displacement of time. I think that the black astronaut that made it back,
Oh
I
yeah,
he's being
I
affected.
think he is too. Yeah, because he saw her. They saw each other.
But wouldn't that mean his daughter would be having the same exact effects too?
We don't know if they. We don't know if they aren't. We don't know if she isn't. We've only seen her twice. We don't know, and we don't know. We won't actually. We don't because her dad died.
Right.
He actually died. So that may it may not be happening for her, but it may be happening for the other little girl. I don't know. We don't know.
The other
Possible.
version. Yeah.
Hmm. Because
This,
yeah, the for right now we can assume that the two Joes are still alive, but only one Paul is still alive.
I still don't know how Joe is surviving up there. I mean,
Well, she might not be for long.
the
She'll run
space
out of oxygen.
the space station. I'm trying to think. Eventually, they would have had to found a way of going back up there, or they would go back up there to make sure she's okay.
I don't know. No, I don't think so. It depends, I guess.
I'm trying to think because yeah, no, they probably wouldn't even gotten any funding to go back up there.
No, they would have to get funding just like there is no money for there's no rescue mission money. Like if you get stuck up there, you're
Dang,
done.
I'm just trying to
Yeah.
think how she
Until the next
survived.
mission.
How is
I
she
don't
gonna?
know. I'm assuming we'll get an episode just completely from her perspective, or like or flashback. Yeah. But anyway,
Yeah, all I know is if they have a second season of this is gonna be freaking nuts because this is already too much.
I don't know. This feels like a one season show. I feel like I'd be good with that.
Because the only reason why I say I would love a second season is because there's still more that's got to go forward as far as
We have
the.
4 episodes left. Yes, we have 4 episodes left. We haven't even ended the season yet.
I don't know, my brain's going into the future. Anyway, so speaking of the future, at the end of this episode, um, Joe gets, and I don't know who gave her the freaking tapes. Somebody give her the transcripts
Marine
from the
Observatory.
mission. Huh?
The Marine Observatory Military.
Okay.
Said it on
They
the back of the envelope. Yeah.
they gave her the transcripts. But no, the reason why I say that is wouldn't they have given it to the government first?
I don't know. It's just like a little science research. It looked like it was just one of those science research labs. If they found her address and then I assume all of the like because there was like news coverage and stuff, they may have just wanted to send it directly to her first because it was her. And then they
Interesting.
said there was like that tape of the other lady. Oh, maybe it's because that was public, remember? When they were questioning
Oh,
her. So I think they sent it directly to her because they were like, "This is." They said this is another the dead cosmonaut that they recorded a dead cosmonaut. So they sent it to her because she had to. She said that that's what she saw, and then she recanted. So I assume that was public. So I think that was on the news. So I think that's why they sent it to her.
that
Yeah.
makes a lot more sense. Because in
Mm-hmm.
that, they basically had the two tapes, one of hers and then one of the other cosmonaut, which is the Russian
Mm-hmm.
one. And they also had the transcripts as well. And basically, she could hear herself. And she knew for a fact, this isn't me. Like, what is going on? Who's saying this? And then with the other one is like, my oxygen, my oxygen. And she's like, wait, what the heck? And so while
Mm-hmm.
that was happening, that was when Alice kind of came downstairs and had her whole moment.
Mm-hmm.
And good old Magnus comes down, starts projecting, saying, "You did this to my daughter, and yes, my daughter needs to be locked in the freaking closet because she's scared, as opposed to dealing with whatever the heck's going on." I'm like, why wouldn't you just take your daughter to a psychiatrist to be able to process her emotions? Anyway, I digress. They then get an altercation, and he's trying to call the police to get, or not call the police. He's trying to call Frederick to get her
Yeah.
admitted and get her out of there. And it's just like, I'm like, his daughter's still sitting there and I mean, I guess like from the surface, it does seem like she might be going crazy, but it's just not the right look, man. And then she tries to get the phone from him. She knocks him down. His head hits the freaking piano. And I don't know if he's breathing or not because they end the episode. And that's the way the episode ends. So, insanity. So what was your take on the final fight? What was your, also, we didn't talk about Bud / Henry and the FBI agent seeing the displacement in time and
I know,
reality.
so much to talk about. We don't have much time left. All right. So Magnus sucks. Whatever. That I will. We see. We'll talk. We'll see what happens in the next episode because I assume she flees the scene because obviously if she shoves him over, they're gonna be like, "You murdered him." So I assume she takes her daughter and runs because we have to get to a point where we do get somewhere to a point where they're like somewhere. Yeah. So I assume she takes him and runs. The scene with Bud, the FBI agent. Yeah, we had theorized that like it's probably possible, like because she saw the like the little distortion, that it's more likely that Bud and Henry swap places, or one of them swap places at that time, and the other one shoved him over because he's like, I haven't been able to do that. I haven't. And he's so nonchalant. He's like, I haven't been able to lift since my injury in Korea, which she made a kind of an interesting face at that. So I'm wondering if that's one of his like missed memories again. But anyway, yeah, I thought that was interesting. It's kind of wild that the dude's like a straight up murderer, but that means that obviously the tapes aren't gonna do because it was like a misdirection because he looked up at the camera and then he was just like, but I was like, oh, is he gonna like mess with it or something? But no, like yeah. So but yeah, it definitely seems like he didn't remember what happened, and yeah, but yeah, it's
So, but that does prove a really interesting thing, and we've seen it. We've seen it from Alice. She swapped. We've seen it from Bud. He swapped. But Joe hasn't necessarily. Well, I guess she kind of has.
with the eye. Remember,
But
whenever her eye hurts, she starts to see like going down the like tunnel. It's only like flashes, but she is going back up to the space station. It's
yeah.
just flashes. Yeah.
So I guess that's what's happening is that they can at certain times they can't control it. And I don't really know when it happens. Is it when the device is activated that it happens, or is it
I don't know.
random?
I don't know. No, I don't because the device isn't activated all the time. So I don't know.
Anywho, crazy episode. I think if you were on the fence whether or not to, see where the show is going, this is the episode. I think this is the episode that ties everything together, that piques your interest to, okay, I got to finish this to completion at this point. That's my take on it. I think this is a 10 episode. I don't, yeah, we've unpacked everything. What's your rating and final thoughts on the episode?
I would give this one an A. It was fantastic. Like I thought it answered a lot of questions while opening up a lot more questions because now I'm like, well, why is this happening? What's gonna happen next? I love it. I think I'm excited for the next episode.
Yeah.
What about you?
Yeah, no, I am hyped to see what's going on. We're now getting to the impasse. We're getting closer and closer to catching up to the present. I don't care if Magnus is alive or dead in this universe. I do want there to be a moment. You know what? It's got to be a moment. It's got to be a moment because she ended up with the device. So there's going to have to be a moment with her and Henry / Bud talking about it. The question I have is, why would he give it to her? Did she steal it? Or did he give it to her? Because
I'm thinking more he gave it to her at this point, but we'll see.
Because the only reason why I could think of her being given it to is they try to get rid of it, or they're trying to remove it. But still didn't.
That's probably because they did say that someone was going to take her. He couldn't keep taking it. Like it's like it sounded like they were going to remove it. And like and so in order to prevent that, I could see him giving it to her as she's like taking off somewhere.
Yeah, if he could, the only reason I could see him doing that is like he sees that she can see what he sees, and
yeah, and he never got a chance to. Yeah.
Yeah. And it's just, I don't know. It's good. It's good.
Mhm.
We're gonna go check out episode 5 a little bit later on. Hope you guys enjoyed this overview discussion. We kind of broken down all the nicks and crannies within 40-minute time frames. I don't know how the heck we did that. I'm gonna let Vanessa plug as she plugs.
Oh yes. You can follow me at Vanessa Shark on everything, Twitter, Instagram, whatever else I got going on. I have a website, vanessashark.com you can check out. And Multiverse of Color I write for. I have articles and interviews coming up this week, so check that out.
See, you're perfecting it. Or it's your doppelganger doing it all. Go. Take care, you guys. Hopefully you like, subscribe, hit the bell button. We got more content coming. Bye.
Falling out the top of
I can see the skyline, 50 mile radius on my timeline. Ain't